Just waiting for Jim and Joe to give me some good news. It's 8 o'clock. Where are you guys? Waiting for my good news. Get your fat asses online already.
We normally get this kind of action.
It's for us. It's just
exciting.
us. This is the way our street is.
Oh, dear. It's because you guys are here.
It was a legitimate call. It made sense. It was pass interference. I don't care what anybody says.
Get ready for 2 hours of hard-hitting football talk from two men in the know. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
You call runs when you're not supposed to, and Dak Prescott is throwing it in the dirt.
What they say, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome once again to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, and alongside of me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, everybody? What's going on, all you crazy know-it-alls out there? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the Know. We know it's been a long time since we both have sat in these chairs talking football with you guys.
Absolutely.
Hope you enjoy the show. If you're new to the show, please, we love all the support from all you know-it-alls out there. Please go ahead and head over to YouTube or Facebook. Search us up, Football on the Know Show. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you become a know-it-all or member on Facebook. And you get to check out all our shows, all the updated content that we do for around the Football League. And don't forget the notification bell on YouTube as well to get all the updated content notifications. We are also on Twitter at FB_know. If you want to check out any of the tweets that we tweet out for any kind of breaking news that happens around the league, we also post there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, it's been a while and everything. We went on a little bit of a hiatus and stuff because I ended up getting COVID and stuff, so we didn't want to get Joe in any kind of trouble and had to be on my quarantine and things like that. So we were just sticking it out and doing the safe thing here and getting better. And I'm feeling a lot better here. But if I
He looks better too.
Yeah, if I do, I think I lost a little bit of weight instead of getting the the extra pounds. I've been doing a lot of other yard work and things and not eating as well. I mean, eating healthy, but not eating as much. So that's the thing. That's a little better. So.
That works.
Yeah, absolutely. So I appreciate everybody joining us. It's been a while, but we're excited. A lot has been going on in the NFL, and so we haven't been able to talk about it.
A lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, since we were last on, we were talking about Dak Prescott's injury and him going down and what it means for the Cowboys. And since then, they've gone through three quarterbacks, and their defense has been struggling. And where people are talking about possibly, having Mike McCarthy, like, when is he going to get fired? And I think when I hear news like that, it just makes me, like, scratch my head. I'm like, these Cowboy fans are ridiculous. They are so bipolar. They are the most bipolar, I think, fan base out there.
I wouldn't say that. There's plenty of other fan bases.
Well, they're like either it's raining horses and cows or whatever, and they're gonna win the Super Bowl. So now it's like the end of the world. To where now if you get and trade for Ryan Fitzpatrick, it's going to save your season. But then you need to fire Mike McCarthy because he's the problem. How about, your defense? It's not as good as it was last year because you let some of those guys go. You guys still hanging on to Sean Lee. He's banged up. Everybody's injury prone in here. And that offensive line, seeing more injuries here and there. And even Zach Martin, ending up on the IR getting injured all the time too now. He can't be the only guy there, and Tyron Smith, he's done. Washed up. He's done. So, I mean, the news I'm hearing.
We saw this coming. We saw this coming.
And they didn't address that. Instead, they go and draft CeeDee Lamb.
We've kind of saw this coming as you and me. We saw this. We talked about it on previous shows before. We kind of lined up all the dominoes for all you Cowboys fans out there and football fans and just said, like, listen, hey, the end is getting near for the Cowboys because they're starting to get salary. The salary cap isn't as big as they used to have. How many guys are they going to be able to re-sign with the money that they have at hand? Like Dak Prescott, obviously, they went out and spent huge money on DeMarcus Lawrence to keep him as a Cowboy. They went out and they signed big-time money to Ezekiel Elliott and keep him as a Cowboy. Now you're starting to see what was once a strength for the Cowboys in that offensive line. That's the train that makes the offense go for the Cowboys, and it always has been, and always will be that way as long as Jerry Jones is still the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. And then also, you look at the defensive side of the ball. A lot of injuries have happened on that side of the football. Yes, they're missing some people. Yeah, Sean Lee got hurt yet again, but the Cowboys knew that was going to happen. It's just nice to have that little insurance piece there. But going even further, now you look at the secondary has been abysmal. It's just been atrocious. There's nothing that they can do to rectify this problem right now, as well as the offensive line. It's too late now. They had time to plan and prepare 2 years ago for this upcoming event now with the Cowboys to get some youth, get a little bit of youth movement going into Dallas in those positions to help them thrive later on down the road. And just like Jim said, what they do in this year's draft, they drafted another wide receiver. Now, was that a need? Not a big need if it is one. I mean, they had Michael Gallup already. They had Amari Cooper. And by the way, that's another signing that they paid big money to, is keeping Amari Cooper as a Cowboy. So you look at all this money that they're throwing around to all these different positions, but the biggest thing now is they've been concentrating on all these, all these glamorous positions. Like, everybody loves the big-time wide receivers, and everybody likes the big-time running back and the quarterback and the defensive end, the pass rushers, and that sort of thing. Yeah, that makes the game exciting. But what about the hog mollies on the offensive line? That's always been a staple for Dallas. Always has been. They've always made sure that they had a not only ginormous offensive line, but a really, really good offensive line all the time. Now, unlike any other year before, Dallas is starting to look weak at the offensive line. Yes, there are some injuries, but just like Jim said, Tyron Smith, he's done. Yeah, he's just too banged up, too often injured now. This late in his career, his body is not going to be able to sustain year to year in the NFL. We've seen that now. The past 2 years, he hasn't been able to finish, hasn't been able to even last the whole season. So now it's time to make this offensive line great again for the Dallas Cowboys. It's time to rebuild that O-line, rebuild that defense going forward. And it's not going to happen overnight. They've thrown a hell of a lot of money in all these different, high-profile positions like wide receiver, running back, quarterback, soon to be quarterback. Mm-hmm. Everybody's still speculating, is Dak going to sign? Is he not going to sign? Is he going to test the market? No. There is a contract that the Cowboys and Dak Prescott and his agents already have the parameters of it, and pretty much are just so close to just agreeing and signing that they just have to wait till right before the offseason, when I feel the contract will get nailed, done, sealed, and delivered right before the free agency opens. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's when he's going to sign and still remain a Cowboy. Now,
right.
We also talked about his injury.
Thing to do. Mm-hmm.
We talked about his injury before and say, well, is that going to diminish the number at all now? I think because of his youth, because he is going to come back from this injury. I know it's kind of a little bit of a major injury, but I feel like he is young enough and he is determined enough of a football player that he will work his tail off in the offseason. He's going to thrive to come back. He's going to be healthy. He's going to be ready to take on his leadership role in Dallas next season and sign a new deal, and then they move on forward. Mm-hmm. But their salary cap is going to take a hit. How much of a hit remains to be seen. We'll have to wait till the offseason to get the final numbers in and see what they do in the offseason. Do they cut some people? Do they restructure some deals that they currently already have? Zach Martin. Mm-hmm. That's another big fish.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You got to hold on to him. Mm-hmm. If you plan on rebuilding this, you got to hold on to a guy like that. So a lot of different directions that they can go. But right now, it looks like, unfortunately, they are headed backwards. They're headed down the toilet, so to speak, in this terrible NFC East.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Talk about the NFC East again. Being a Giants fan and sitting home watching the TV and seeing some of these happen, some of these games and how it unfolds. And it is crushing for a fan out there of a team like this. You see them play hard, and they're up. Like, if you watch the Giants this year, they are up in the games all the way until the third, fourth quarter shows up, and then now the team just breaks down. Daniel Jones, he's about to get sacked, decides to throw it around, as he's almost on the ground already. Just winging it this direction somehow sounds like a great idea as you're on your way to the ground. That sounds a great idea. And then just giving the game away and single-handedly giving the game away himself. I mean, I'm sitting there watching these, and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, I think now it has just been an epiphany to me. I'm like, we are just kind of a quarterback away, and a few other pieces. Joe and I have talked about this. I mean, yes, the offensive line is getting better. They're getting better. You see improvement with this team, but they are so improved here. And if it wasn't for the poor quarterback play, we would have won a lot more games than 2 right now, just against the Washington football team. That seems like the only team that Daniel Jones can win against. And if we had a guy that was better at hanging on to the football there in the pocket at the quarterback position, we'd be in a better off position, and there would be less pressure on the team and of the headlines mocking this team and how poor they are. I mean, I think Gettleman has done everything as possibly that they could with signing free agents, whoever's out there, to try and fill gaps as they have injuries, they have problems here and there, getting guys in there to work them out, giving everything that he possibly could, the tools there to get wins. And I think Joe Judge is doing a great job, too, and phenomenal, and impressing people hard, making people accountable. And that's what you want to see out of some of these teams here, especially ones that have been losers,
right.
Having that losing mentality. Yep. Something you don't see out of the Jets right now. Jets squander a win against the Patriots the way they have it, and they still couldn't lock away that win there either, too. So
going back to the Giants real quick, I will commend Joe Judge. I am really impressed with his leadership skills, with his decision-making as a head coach. It looks like he is the real deal for the New York Football Giants to have almost a glimpse of light in the future right now with that coach, with the coaching staff that they have in place. If they can just keep building, add a little bit more talent for the following year, and let's see really what this team can do. I know you talk about changing the quarterback, and I tend to agree with that. I feel like we've seen enough of Daniel Jones. Like we've seen the tape, we've seen him play game after game, and it seems like no matter how much coaching up he gets, he's still making the same mistakes. And they're bonehead
when you
mistakes.
preach the same thing every single week, and you're making those mistakes, right?
It's not okay, we corrected one mistake, and then he doesn't make it for a long time. It's like we've corrected it last week, then all of a sudden it reemerges this week, and it's like, what are you thinking? I don't know.
It's in the moment.
Yeah, it's
what it
always,
is. He
just
loses
like you were saying.
in the moment.
Yeah, it's in the moment. So, like, the teaching's there over and over and over again every time he makes a mistake, but then it seems like in the moment, like you just mentioned, all that goes out the window, and it's like he feels like he has to force and make a play happen. When you start to feel like that, usually bad things happen, and they've been happening to Daniel Jones time and time again. It's time to either, it's just time to make better decisions. There's no more. There can't be any more leeway. A longer leash on this guy. I understand he's still newish in the league, still kind of new, taking that leadership, that quarterback role with the Giants and everything, but enough is enough. It's like we've all seen enough game tape. We've seen enough of him on the football field. Have we seen him improve? Yes and no. We've seen him improve as a quarterback in the NFL, of course. But we still see that bad decision-making, the not caring for the football. Like, we already know he worked really hard on his fumbling issues and trying to make sure that he doesn't fumble as much. And it seems like that he's turned that corner on that issue, but Now it's just bad mistakes
Yeah,
after
I
mistake.
think even to an extent of feeling that pressure and having that, shadow behind you, he's been doing better with that.
Right.
But again, now it's turning into interceptions or fumbles to where he's on his way down for a sack and decides to try to throw it out there,
Yeah,
hangs
you
the
just
ball out
can't.
there, and then he gets it stripped or something. And like you said, and we talked about in the moment, there's been quarterbacks that have that type of issue. And I understand if you feel like the pressure's on you to try and make a play for your team, if you got a man on you and you're down already and you're pretty much there, that there is no play to
you're
be made.
falling.
There is no
You're
play to be
falling.
made. You're not gonna. Whatever you're doing now is not gonna change the outcome of this play.
Right.
If you want to try and think of something you can, if somebody say made a play out of something like that, if you want to say like the way Eli Manning did it in the Super Bowl, he shrugged off defenders, got out to where he was open, set and threw. Not in the process of going down, flailing it up there, winging it, and just hoping that somebody's over there, things like that. Things like that to where if they're not a guy open, because I've seen him try to even throw it away kind of in a sense, but too close to the sidelines to where it's picked off still. It's just an overthrow and not exactly just throw it directly out, way out of everybody.
Or
I've
he's
seen that too many
trying
times.
so much, like even this past week.
Bootleg out and thread it
he
down.
just he was starting to be tackled and he still threw it, even though it ended up because he couldn't step into the throw, because he was like starting to fall, and he still wanted to get that out there to the sideline, to the receiver on the sideline. I don't remember who it was. It could have been Sterling Shepard, but he was covered, and because of the not being able to step into it and being tackled and brought down, he still tried to release it and still tried to make the play, even though he probably either should have either taken the sack or just throw it away. What ends up happening is the ball comes out weak, it comes up short, and the corner just cut underneath it and picked it off. You can't make those mistakes. Not only did he turn it over, but he turned it over for a touchdown the other way. So those are critical mistakes. Turnovers, we know, help you lose games.
Absolutely.
But when you make critical mistakes, when you have a team on the ropes, and you don't really need to score. You don't need to drive down and score. You don't need to really make that play. Because what ends up happening there is, say he throws it away. You know what I mean? Incomplete pass, whatever. Now you punt the ball. Guess what? They don't have a turnover in your territory or
And you're
midfield
not
or anything
in
like
their,
that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You punt the ball in their territory. You put your defense, which has been playing lights out
Absolutely.
for a number of weeks, back on the football field. Maybe they get a stop. They get you the ball back. The game ends up ending a different way then you have a legitimate chance in winning that game. But when you make those decisions and you make these critical mistakes along the way, towards the end of the game, when you already have the game under wraps, you have the lead, it's just kill the clock, do what you can. Drive. If you can score again, you score again. But if not, punt the ball away. Don't make the bad mistake. Don't turn the ball over. And this is the issue that Daniel Jones has all the time, it seems like. And
absolutely.
I mean, I don't know if it's too premature to just say, hey, Daniel Jones is not our guy. I don't know if it's – I think from what I've watched and from what you've watched, that it's just too many critical and bad mistakes that Daniel Jones makes to the point where now it's kind of like, well, he's really not getting any better in that department. So do we pull the plug now and look for our future quarterback? Are the Giants going to be in the situation? I feel like they could – it depends. In this season alone, we already seen the NFC East and how bad it is. It's like everybody's losing. They have a losing record no matter where they're stationed, top to bottom. Let's just say all four teams end up with a losing record. Well, the Giants have a legitimate shot at picking in the top 15, okay? Maybe if they want to go ahead and they get their quarterback, if they want to move up and get because right now it just seems like it's Trevor Lawrence or bust for a lot of teams.
Right.
I don't think they're not going to give up the farm to move up and try to get Trevor Lawrence at number 1 with the Jets. So it's going to be the next best quarterback that comes out. Do they really believe in him? And if they do, trade up a little bit, enough to where you feel comfortable you could get him and get that quarterback, and let's start growing as a team and add the other pieces you need.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the question they really need to face again, because if you look at it, yes, Dave Gettleman did draft Daniel Jones, but this is Joe Judge's group right now here too.
Traded
so
up
it's
to get
whatever
him, too.
whatever they decide they want to do moving forward with him is they can switch. We've seen it before with other regimes. Cliff Kingsbury, after 1 year with Josh Rosen, goes in and he drafts Kyler Murray. So we've seen it happen. Unfortunately, the Restream chat is messed up again. But we have people watching here, so I'm sorry if I didn't get to you guys yet. But I just checked quick and I saw that Mike Tackett's in the house with us tonight. Mike Tackett is in the house.
What's up, brother?
There you go. And he says, welcome back, guys. Get Jim a mask. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. And then he says, Penn State running back Journey Brown, his career is over due to heart complications via COVID. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy. Like myself, I didn't get it very bad. I think the one day I had it, I had a bit of a fever and stuff, and it was like an overnight thing. Just since then, just breathing complications here and there. Besides that, I've been fine. Everything's cool. I've been doing yard work and stuff and doing fine. But it affects everybody differently. And because, like he said, with heart complications, I mean, that's the factor. And affecting somebody else too. I mean, that's the only thing that bothered me too. Is I tried to stay, away from whoever I can. I stayed home for 14 days. Didn't go out shopping. Didn't do any of that stuff.
Right.
And try not to infect anybody else and get them in trouble because of people with other existing complications. So it's tough though. We appreciate you guys with us here though. And it's good to be back. It's good to be talking a little football here and I'm getting excited already talking about the Giants and the Cowboys and how crazy they are and stuff. But a lot of crazy news out there. The NFL approves a couple new plans here for the playoffs. Now that they have, they were going to, I think it was a 14-team playoff sense with the number one overall getting the bye week itself. Then the other team's playing, but now because in case they might have to cancel games here, there might be expanding it here to like a 16 team, right? Or something you're saying here, Joe?
Yeah, 16-team playoff bracket. And from what it sounds like in the article that I read, it sounds like they're doing away with the bye weeks for the number one ranked team
seed
for each conference. So because it's the only way that it really makes sense. Me and Jim were trying to figure this out off the air, and it's like, well, if they're gonna give a bye week to the number one seed on the AFC and the NFC, well, then it just doesn't make any sense. You'll have an odd number of teams. So how does that work in terms of matchups for that round one, for wild card essentially? And it doesn't. The math doesn't add up. You have one odd team on each side, and they got no one to play, so they sit out too. That doesn't make sense. So it has to be where they're going to do, if this is implemented. They've agreed upon it. Now let's see if they implement it, because I feel like it'll be triggered if they have to cancel. What they said is they got to cancel a big impact type game.
Right.
If that happens, then it's going to trigger this, and they're going to do this 16-game playoff.
16 teams, and then everybody plays. There's no bye week.
Right. And it's the only way that makes sense to me. I mean, I don't know if you have a different idea, but it seems like mathematically it's the only way is to not have a bye week for anybody, and then everybody just plays.
Right, and I think it's what they're saying is like, say if like Packers and another NFC team, Chiefs or whatever. I mean, if there's say the Vikings get closer to where closer to the division, and it plays with seeding, and they're going to be playing each other, but then they can't because of a COVID or something like that. They can't play that game. That's a deciding factor.
Right.
That's a different thing.
Right.
So they'd have to add that team then and just bump them in. Because it would have had implications of who took the division and seeding.
And they would be the bottom seed, so they would have to play, say, the Saints or somebody like that at number one.
Right. So I mean, it seems like a good plan. They're making it so far
exciting
with everything, because we've seen some teams games canceled. That was early on. Now it seems like they're working with the flex and stuff like that. They just flexed another game, I think, this coming week. So we've seen stuff like that. What do you guys think about that? Let us know in the comment section if I could check it out here. I see Greg Schreiner is with us here tonight.
What's going on, Greg? Welcome to the show, bud.
He's in the house with us, and so a lot of different stuff going on. Plus, the NFL approved a new
Hold on,
rule.
before we get to that.
What's up?
Wow. Did I just get turned up?
Yes, sorry. I think I did it by
Oh,
accident.
Jim, you
Sorry.
turned me on, my friend.
I'm sorry. I just did a reach over, and then things get excited and they go up, I guess.
Anyway, I almost forgot what I was going to say. Thanks for that.
What? The NFL playoffs, maybe, right?
No, it wasn't playoffs.
Oh.
But no, what I really wanted to say was, all know-it-alls out there, thank you guys for tuning in. We know it's been a while. We know we've kind of left you high and dry, so to speak, for a while on NFL news and our shows. So really appreciate you guys bouncing back into the game, showing us that you're true colors and that you are true know-it-alls out there. But really appreciate the support. And keep it coming.
Definitely. I'm going to try and restart the Restream chat box, see if that works, if I can get comments out there. But if you guys are out there, definitely I'll try and get to you the best I can. But, yeah, I mean, again, they should go and now change here. You know, they've been talking about
another rule. Yep.
Yeah, what can we do to get more minority coaches in there on different teams, stuff like that. They have had other ideas, and they've been shut down, but now they implement this here moving forward.
So it is about minority coaches moving on to other teams in a different capacity, either a head coach or a GM or front office a job opportunity.
Okay.
If that happens, the team that they left will receive a compensatory pick of a third-round pick. Now, I get what they're doing, but so wasn't the Rooney Rule. Like that was like trying to like kind of nudge people, like, hey, you should probably go interview this guy, and maybe you might like them more than X guy. You know what I mean? So they're trying to nudge more minorities into those positions, which I agree with. However, when it comes down to now, minority coaches, like let's just say the perfect example, Eric Bieniemy right now with the Chiefs as an offensive coordinator. Let's say next year he goes to the Detroit Lions. Let's say Matt Patricia gets fired, and the Detroit Lions hire Eric Bieniemy. Eric Bieniemy goes, he signs a deal. He's now the head coach for Detroit. What happens then is that the Chiefs, where he just left from, because it's a upgrade in stature and job position as a minority, the Chiefs will receive a third-round compensatory pick just for him going and elevating into a higher position elsewhere. My thing, just like your thing, we've discussed this off the air. We're a little confused by this. How is this going to emphasize and make these teams like, say, Detroit sign Eric Bieniemy, but they get nothing. They just get the coach. Now the Chiefs are going to be rewarded for him taking the job, a third-round pick, when they didn't do really anything.
Right. And
why would you give
if you want to say
why would you give even, let's just say, like, even if it's a team in the AFC, that makes more sense. As if it's a team in the AFC, let's say Jets. Eric Bieniemy goes to the Jets. Why would the Jets want to give up a team in their own conference a third round, an extra draft pick in the third round? Now, some people might out there say, well, it's only a third round compensatory pick. It's at the end of the third round. I'm sorry. Has anybody paid attention to the drafts recently? And how many players are into this draft and how gifted all of these players actually are? You can get a guy in the third round that might have been a second-round pick or a first-round pick. Like, it's so critical to have your draft picks right nowadays. Like, you need to hold on to them, and they all are high value. When you get at the end of the third round, that's still high value for a draft pick. And it's stealing away from your bad teams, in a sense, in the following round that maybe they wanted to take X or Y player that was picked with that pick in the compensatory round of the third round. Now in the top of the fourth, they can't take them because a team that was gifted a draft pick just took your guy. It's
like, I know what
ridiculous.
you're saying, because let's say when you go with the Lions, like you said, the reason why they're going with another head coach and not Matt Patricia is probably because they were bad. They had ended up facing and being bad. So basically, they get their coach that they want, but they are now going to have the Chiefs picking ahead of them in the fourth round, right
too,
before
yeah,
them.
Right.
Because they could potentially be there.
Right.
So how does that help them? Yeah. Yes, and it helps the coaches. I understand that, and coaches. But if it leads to that, I think there's already a broken problem there. And I think it's racist in itself. I
Yeah.
mean, I would admit that right away, that I think just thinking about this in a sense like this is just basically saying that, these people weren't good enough, that we have to implement
need to
these
help
rules
them.
to do this. I mean,
Right.
I understand that maybe some people are still thinking that, they might not be good enough. If they are, then that's a problem. And then your team is going to suffer for it because your closed-mindedness and not being able to open and get the best available guy that you think is there, whether he's black or white.
Right.
But the fact that you're going to give a team that even, in a sense, hired this guy ahead of time, which I commend, and then that they're able to build with that franchise, to give them the credit for breeding this guy, I guess, if you want to give them credit for breeding this guy, the guy could just be good. You know what I mean? He could just be, you hired the
Right.
right guy. He
Right.
was the guy for the job, and you commend them. You're not commending the coach, where if you want to try and mend bridges between the African-American coaches and things in the league and the league itself, give the incentive even to the coach. You give him a bonus, somehow through the NFL, that when they do get hired as a head coach, you get another like $300,000 bonus or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because that
here's-
would help mend bridges there too.
Right,
Because
right.
again, it just sounds like it's here. We're going to give you here this, and we're giving you that. It's
But here's
about
the thing,
equality.
too.
It's not like here, my white privilege is allowed to give you this now.
Yeah.
Now are you happy? Now I'm able to hand this to you now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I just don't.
Well, here's the thing that for me is if they wanted to utilize the compensatory picks as a way for teams to give them an emphasis to hire a minority coach, why don't you give that to the team that is hiring them?
yeah, that's why I
Because
don't get even
that
too.
that
Why
to
isn't
me
it going
that to me
them?
makes more sense. Why you're giving it to a team that basically they kind of raised him to be an assistant, and then he got promoted to like say linebackers coach, and then from linebackers coach he became the D coordinator, and then D coordinator he moved on and became the head coach. Why are you rewarding that team when you want more? If you really want more minority coaches at head coach level, at GM level, then you got to give the compensation to the team that's hiring these guys. So, like, say, let's use that same analogy. Let's say the Detroit Lions fire Matt Patricia. They want to hire Eric Bieniemy. They hire Eric Bieniemy. Now the Lions get the compensation. The Lions get the compensatory pick because they hired the minority coach. Now, here's my problem with this whole thing. Is even if they wanted to do that way or the way that they're currently doing it and rewarding the past team that he left, I still have an issue with the compensatory issue. I still feel like
being like a third, even
well,
too. I mean, I understand
not-
you don't like
no.
compensatory picks, but I mean, even
like this is on a different level though, because now I feel like as we're talking about this situation, now I feel like any minority now is, well, we have to reward a team in order for the minority guy to get the job, essentially. And that's what I have an issue with now. Now it's just like, oh, well, we don't think it's almost like the NFL is like, well, we're not really sure that you're going to make it to this point, so we're going to help you guys out. We're going to give some compensation now to help you get that job. When it should be you get the job because you earned the job.
right.
Like Eric Bieniemy, I'm sorry. Black, white, brown, yellow, orange, green, blue, purple, whatever color you are, it doesn't matter to me. If you have the X's and O's down, if you understand how to be a coach, how to lead men, how to be the next head coach of any whatever football team it is, then you should earn that job. You should be given that job, and that's it. So Eric Bieniemy, is he deserving of a head coach role? Absolutely. It's not even close. We've seen his name getting thrown around in NFL circles for the past 2-3 years now. Same thing like Byron Leftwich. He's another guy. He's an offensive coordinator for Tampa.
Yep.
And his name's been thrown around for quite some time. Now, do I think he'll eventually get the job? Possibly. But Eric Bieniemy, to me, right now, is the leader of the pack in terms of minority coaches that are deserving of head coach. And I strongly believe that he will get a job this offseason no matter what. whether there be compensation for him being hired or not, he is deserving of a head coach role. And quite honestly, as I'm thinking, like Gase is the most likely to get fired right now. And if Eric Bieniemy was to take over that Jet team, I feel like that Jet offense will be so much better, regardless if they draft Trevor Lawrence, let's just say, or if they stay with Sam Darnold. I feel like they'll be in better hands if Eric Bieniemy takes that over.
The race war starts now!
But I know what you're saying there too, which I agree with it completely. But I think also, I mean, I know what they're getting at when they try and do this, because they're trying to say, all right, let's start at the beginning of the ranks. Let's get people to hire them initially as coordinators
Or
as
assistants, yeah.
assistant coaches
Yep.
here and there,
Yep.
and bring them up to eventually they could get there. I
get
understand that. I understand that. But if you want to do that too, you would maybe even try to attack it at the college level here too.
They're going
and try
about
to
it all
do
wrong,
that.
I feel.
But the fact that giving the picks away for it, I think is just kind of crazy. And again, I think to an extreme extent, it's like farming to me, kind of. You know what I mean? Again, and we're giving you this for this guy.
Yeah.
I just don't like it. I don't
No,
like
I don't
the way
like it
it looks
either.
for everything here.
I don't like it either.
I think it should be just the right thing to do. I mean, for me, again, I'm an open-minded person.
Mm-hmm.
When it came down to the GM job, when it was Gettleman and things like that, I wanted our man there. So I mean,
Louis
it's
Riddick.
Louis Riddick. I wanted Louis Riddick in it. So and they went David Gettleman.
I'll tell you right now.
So he could still be up there too. If
I
they
will-
don't like David Gettleman, so he could be
I
there
will
still,
say
but-
this about Dave Gettleman, and has he done? I think he's done better things in free agency than he has in the draft.
Right.
And we've seen it. What was it? DeAndre Baker. Everybody knows him. Well, guess what? Gettleman traded back in the first round to get that guy, and now he's out of the NFL. He's terrible. You know what I mean? He's taking guys like Dalvin Tomlinson or Thompson.
Yeah.
Good pick. That worked out. That was good. But he also traded up for Daniel Jones, and now we're starting to see that. Was that the right decision? It's getting a little dicey now with him. So it's like drafting. I don't feel he's a very good talent evaluator in terms of his GM position. But as far as finding talent in free agency, I feel like he finds the right pieces. So it's kind of like a seesaw battle with him. Do I think if Louis Riddick was in there, I really like Louis Riddick. I feel like he would have done a better job. But, hindsight's 20/20. So let's just it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I hear you there. So,
But I
mean,
do want to say, I want to touch on something real quick, is the compensatory picks. I just think they should be abolished. I don't think they should exist. I don't think you should reward a team for missing out on a free agent signing. Sometimes teams don't want the free agent. They let them walk, but they're still given a you know what I mean? They're still given a compensatory pick regardless. Just because maybe they used to start and now they're signed to another team. Here's a draft pick. That's ridiculous. I just can't. And it takes away and it cheats away from other teams that are picking, that have those losing records, that are picking higher in each round.
Yeah, absolutely. I know what you mean. So what do you guys think out there? What do you guys think about this particular change that the NFL has made? I mean, what do you think about it? I know we've said our parts, and we try not to get too political here and there and stuff like that, but I mean, it's an interesting point of view, and that they went along with it. And then the expanded playoffs. What do you guys think about that, along with the COVID situation that's
For sure.
affecting teams still? I mean, now after the Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers, they have a tough one against the Dallas Cowboys, and they are still undefeated at 8-0. Now he's on the COVID list here
For 5 days. So whenever
is he going to
got
be
put
able to
on
get
it-
back? And so I mean, if they have to deal with a different quarterback, Mason Rudolph again.
No.
I mean that could be a problem there. Or is it going to be Duck? Duck is coming back. Duck Hodges.
I doubt
mean,
it.
so I mean, it's like that could change their. Then they won't be undefeated anymore, possibly here. So I mean,
True.
a lot of different things that's happening with this virus along this league that has made a factor here. I mean, and there's a bunch of teams here that have had to skip, so now it places the standings in odd spots now too, to where they're down a game, missing spots. So, but yeah, that'll bring up our in the know fact of the day. Though here we go. I found something kind of interesting here as we were searching through the facts. It's been a while, but check this out. A lot of people maybe not know this, but contrary to what many people believe, The Baltimore Ravens are not named after a bird. The name Baltimore Ravens was actually derived from a poem titled The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe, a resident of Baltimore. The team mascots are named after Poe. That's right. And that is your in the know fact of the day, Joe. That's right. Yes. They don't want to be called if they were called the Poes. How about that? You know what I'm saying? The Poes, the Edgar Allan Poes.
So, like about a day ago, Big Ben was put on the COVID list. So, if yesterday counts, okay? Like, say that counts as a day.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Tuesday. So you got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
So if yesterday counts when they put him on the list, 5 days is Saturday. So he would be ready to play on Sunday.
All right. So, yeah, because that's a deciding factor, and that's the thing of what they're doing
If
with
it
this
doesn't
change,
count-
this rule change with the playoffs.
If it doesn't count, then that means the fifth day is Sunday. Now, what does that mean? Because we don't know all the details. Like, is it on the fifth day you're good to go in the NFL? Or does it mean you got to go through the fifth day all the way through?
It's interesting because me dealing with it now I have a little more insight on everything and stuff too, because like me, I just came back for COVID. I know people are joining us here too, and they haven't checked us out yet here, but I was just coming back. I've been back to work now for 2 days. I had to get a release form. You know, I have to get actually released by the county, you know, Rensselaer County where I live. I had to be clear of symptoms. You know, I don't know if he had symptoms or not for at least 36 hours.
Okay.
Okay. And then after that, they can send this release form out, and then you get that release form to be out there to head back to work.
Okay.
I would think that they probably have to do that same thing.
But it's expedited probably.
But, yeah,
a little
probably.
bit more.
Again, because I always wondered now having to deal with it and going through it.
Right.
Because some of these players come back fast, too. I'm
Oh,
like,
real
you might
quick.
be instant. I'm like,
Real
dude.
quick.
I'm
Yeah.
like, this doesn't seem right because I'm following the 14-day, the 10-day,
yeah.
even they tell you to get back into it all. And these guys are like right there the next week or so, or a little week, you know, not even a full 2 weeks.
5 days.
So it's interesting moving forward, but you would think that he would have to make it through a release form or something there to
I
head
feel like
back.
because they're tested so often
Mm-hmm.
that after 5 days and he tests negative, then they're good to go.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what it is because they get tested like constantly, all the time.
Yeah.
So right before the game on Sunday morning, they all get tested.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if he shows up and he gets tested and they're like, oh, negative,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
Big Ben
Yeah.
on there,
Interesting.
another win for the Steelers.
All right, so we're gonna play a game we haven't played in a while.
Oh, so
it's been a
long.
long time, but we figured it's like because we didn't get to have it. We didn't even have a Halloween show this year.
We did not
It
have a
sucked.
Halloween show.
I was so excited to dress up and everything. We didn't even have a Halloween show. But
Fuck you, COVID.
we're midway through it all and everything, and so now we decided to get back to a game we haven't played in a while, and that is called Sink or Swim. And you know what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through. The teams that are kind of on the cusp, there's some teams that are just absolutely putrid. If you look at the NFC, we're not going to be talking about most of those teams.
Oh,
but
so
the
bad.
AFC right now, you can see is the dominant conference here. But teams that are even 5-3, 3-5, 4-5, around there.
On the cusp,
Yeah, on the cusp.
On the
So
bubble.
we're going to start talking about them here and see how they can affect the rest of their season. All right, let's get it going here, Joe. All right. Let's talk about the Cleveland Browns first. Let's go to the Cleveland Browns first, Joe.
Okay.
We've seen some games where they've been getting the offense together. When they first started out this season, they were kind of stagnant. They
Yes.
started to get OBJ going, involved in the offense, and mixing the plays up here and there. OBJ's out now. He's done. So, I mean, Nick Chubb is coming back now, too. So, I mean, what and I think this identity of this team is still up in the air. What do you think about this team moving forward at the halfway point and being able to make something out of this?
Is it? I mean, and they've lost weapons now along the way. So, like in the beginning of the season, they were kind of up and down, up and down, up and down, in purely Brown fashion. Baker Mayfield playing well, then playing terrible. So the offense has been, kind of like the stock market. It just goes up and down all the time. So the Browns' offense now, to this date, they've lost Austin Hooper, who they shelled out some money to at tight end. They've also lost OBJ. Odell Beckham Jr. is no longer there. He's out for the year. and done for this. You know what I mean? So now they're limited, or more limited than they were before. David Njoku has made a return. He's been involved in the offense the past couple of weeks. Now, how long is that going to be? I do expect Austin Hooper to be returning this season. And when that happens, you're going to see Njoku's role really diminish big time. And likely so, because Hooper is a baller. But other than that, they are getting some healthy players back. This week, they are getting of the likes of Nick Chubb. That's right. Nick Chubb is returning. He's going to tag team with Kareem Hunt and attempt to run through the Texans this week. I think they're going to be pretty, proficient in that realm. Those two guys right there are the backbone of this offense. Like, you would think that Baker is. No, it's this running game. Kareem Hunt, his receiving ability, his running ability, tag team him up with Nick Chubb, it just makes their backfield dominating. And it doesn't matter who they alternate in. They just get yards. They just make plays happen. Now that they're getting Chubb back, that adds another element to the run game. This offensive line, what we saw early on, looked pretty shaky. It didn't look that good, even though on paper they should have been better. It seems like now they're starting to gel. It seems like now they're starting to link up and perform better week in and week out as an offensive line. Now you have Nick Chubb returning. You do still have some decent weapons to throw to. They do have rookie Peoples-Jones, who he caught a touchdown pass last week. Maybe he's going to be starting to get a little bit more reps now that OBJ isn't there. I know they love Rashard Higgins, so he's a big impact player for them. Landry, everybody knows Landry, dynamite player. But the defensive side, they've also kind of been nicked up along the way. Myles Garrett, I haven't been able to find out what his status is for this week. I know he was banged up last week. But, again, cornerbacks have been beaten up. Greedy Williams, he's been in and out of the lineup. Is he going to be there? So a lot of question marks with this team. But nonetheless, it's a team that I feel, just as they were starting to come together, it feels like injury-wise they're falling apart. So do I think going forward that they're going to be able to make an impact and compete to really kind of push for maybe even a wild card spot? I'm going to say sink, because these injuries that are piling up are not just they're just not like minor injuries. They're big names. They're big time players. Austin Hooper, we're still waiting for him to come back. You got OBJ, who's now gone. They're getting back Nick Chubb, which is nice, but Baker has not looked very, very good, even with a healthy team early on. So, is he? There's another guy for a question. Is he even the quarterback for Cleveland going forward? I know they like him in the locker room. I know he's a likable guy with his teammates and everything, but he's got to show me something more.
Right. Was he a flash when we saw there with Kitchens there, and we haven't seen the same guy since. We got Restream working here. We appreciate it here. Now Greg Schreider's in the house. Yeah, something decided to work here with us. So Greg's with us, and he said sink. So he agrees with you on the Browns sinking here for the rest of the season. And he says Baker being a question mark makes me a non-believer in them too. So he agrees with you there too. There you go, on the same page. And looking at their schedule, they've got the Texans, the Eagles, the Jags, the Titans, the Ravens, and then the Giants. So it's kind of rough. I mean, they could maybe sneak out 2 wins, I think, out of that whole thing possibly here. So, I mean, but again, if you're moving and they're going to expand that playoffs team, so that could put him at like 7-9. That's still enough maybe even to make the playoffs at this point. It depends, though. Because it depends, because the AFC, it's going to be weird. Because that AFC side is going to still – this is how – you know what? I just thought about it. This is how we're going to get screwed on this whole thing. Because this COVID thing is going to expand the playoffs here. Check this out. Let me throw this nightmare out to you. Okay. They're going to expand this playoffs here, all right? And the AFC is so much better than the NFC. You're going to have still teams that are complaining that they're not going to be able to make the playoffs here at 7-9. and you have teams like the NFC East, basically. I'll just say a team coming out of there, and some of the other teams that are on the NFC that are barely making 500, and have got to be on the losing side. So you can have 8 of those teams, looking like 7 and 9, 6 and 10 in the playoffs.
Right. I mean, and we've seen with the playoff bracket how it originally was, where teams, a couple teams did have a legitimate reason why they should probably move on to the playoffs, but they were left on the outside looking in because they just didn't make the cut. Now it's almost like too many teams are going to be given awarded that position, AFC or NFC. And if the Browns, that would be hilarious. If the Browns made it 7 and 9 and made it to the wild card,
and then they couldn't make it in, but then, like I said, the NFC.
It's like originally they
East.
probably wouldn't. I'm sorry, but if you're not 500 or above, you don't deserve even a chance in the playoffs. If the Browns do finish 7 and 9 and they get in the playoffs, everybody knows they don't belong there. It's just they happen to be the better shitty team.
I just imagine that nightmare scenario. So I mean, they have an opportunity, but again, with the injuries that they have, I'm going to go with Sink as well here for them. All right, so moving on, we have the Denver Broncos. I think here where they're 3-5, but we've seen them improve since they had Drew Lock back now too. He was out for a little bit, and suffering from injuries there too. But they seem to be in games. They had a rough loss this past week here, but they're performing and. You're looking at the next couple of games that they have moving forward. For me, it looks kind of rough for them. I mean, I don't think they can do it. I'm looking at some, especially the way some of these teams are playing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look, they have the Raiders, which is a divisional team, which I think they can win. Just because those division rivalries are tough. I just give it that way. I think the Raiders are a better team, but I think the Broncos still will play them hard.
Oh yeah.
And then you've got the Dolphins next. The Dolphins have shown a new light now in what they're doing.
They're doing
The
things.
Saints are after that. Then you've got the Chiefs. Then you've got the Panthers, who've been playing really nice too. With everybody.
gelling.
Christian McCaffrey hopefully can be back by then.
They're gelling.
Too. And the Buffalo Bills final week, who they just decimated the Seattle Seahawks. So. Their schedule. I didn't look at their schedule ahead of time. Why we put them on this list? But I think they're just tanking hard.
I'll tell you right now. Schedule alone, that is a wicked tough schedule. Put a bullet in them. I mean, I'm gonna go a little bit farther on this. As I do agree with you. I still think because of the schedule, because of what's happening, yes, they're a sink for me. However, Drew Lock gives them life. And that's the thing is he's mobile. He does make some good plays happen, but then he also, he kind of makes a bonehead play. And that's where
he doesn't have a whole lot of games under his belt, but he looks.
Yeah, and that's where you get some inconsistency at the quarterback position with him in the Denver Broncos. But listen, Cortland Sutton's not there. Their number one all-pro wide receiver is not there, but the young studs that they have on this team are making things happen. You look at Patrick, the kid there, Tim Patrick. He's now the number one. He is actually playing pretty darn well. He just got thrusted into this role, and he's taking it, bull by the horns and making things happen. You also got Jerry Jeudy, first year in the NFL as a rookie, performing extremely well now than the beginning of the season. It seems like he dipped his toes in the pool. He got a little bit more comfortable with the water and jumped right in, and now he's taking right off. So guys like that, guys like KJ Hamler, who they drafted as well, he's starting to get a little taste on the football field and doing well. Noah Fant recently got injured. He looks like he's coming back this week, so he'll be another weapon for Drew Lock to throw to and make this a game. Just like you said, this is a divisional game. Raiders, Broncos, these games are usually close all the way right to the end. So it'll be an exciting game for both teams. May the best team win.
And absolutely. And this is one of those teams that we talked about earlier on before the season started where we weren't sure what we were going to get because, again, you have a team that wasn't able to practice together, that has fresh new receivers there too. Drew Lock had a lot of opportunity to work with them, and where teams an off season or in preseason to where teams that had the same personnel there for a while, like the Chiefs, were going to excel. And we're seeing that. We're seeing
Right.
a lot of those teams that had the same personnel there playing better than other teams out there. But for this team to play the way that they had playing behind Vic Fangio, because it seemed like last year, it seemed like he was out of touch with his players. That he was a little too old past them in a sense.
Yeah.
Seems like some of that has kind of lessened a little bit, and they're playing hard, but their schedule, it's rough for them. So I don't think they're coming out of the basement.
And here's the other thing
division.
too is Denver on defense. They don't have Von Miller, so he's gone for the year. They do have Bradley Chubb, but this defense right now, and it goes the same for the past year or two with this defense, is they're more seen as a run-stuffing defense now than what they used to be, the no-fly zone. And now it seems like you can throw on them, you just can't run on them. So that'll make this game interesting because we all know the Raiders love to run Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, it's they can be their focal point behind it all. Here we go. So it's let's take a look at the Indianapolis Colts now. Here, the Colts.
Gotcha.
Now with Philip Rivers there, they're 5-3.
What was the sigh for?
I told you I gotta catch my breath now and then. Still, what are you making fun of me?
No, I'm just saying because it sounded funny. You're like, oh, was Philip Rivers there? Oh,
no, it's just I try and catch my breath
Yeah,
when I
you're
talk
good,
to
you're
exert
good.
myself.
you're good.
And
But you're
so
right.
Philip Rivers, well, he could get a sigh
up
from a
and
lot
down.
of people out there because a lot of people just see him as the turnover machine that he has been as the last couple of seasons.
Crazy, right?
Right.
I mean, I didn't think he was going to be like that with this team.
Yeah,
I thought with this.
and he's done enough here too to what they can to where now they're 5-3.
Right.
The Titans have lost a couple of games that were tight here. I think the last loss that they had was kind of a head scratcher. It's like maybe they played down or just kind of feel
Right.
that lull.
Yeah, they were
But the Colts are still in it again here. You know, right there at 6-2 are the Titans. Colts are 5-3. They play each other this week here, so that's a nice divisional game again.
Yeah.
To where decide who's on top now, because you got your face-off against each other. Colts get the win against the Titans, bumps them up over there because they have the tied record.
Well, they have the tie record. I thought they had a 2-game lead. No.
No, Titans are 6-2. Colts are 5-3. If the Colts win, they're 6-3. Titans would be 6-3.
Gotcha.
They've got the win over them. Colts would be ahead there. So I mean, this is a big game for them moving forward. And then you've got a tough thing again because you've got the Titans 1 week after this, but before that you have the Packers, then the Texans, and then the Raiders to finish off the rest of their season. Oh, and the Texans. So what do you think so far now with the Colts, Joe, moving forward? Do you think I have the chance to swim here and make that playoff run, or maybe see them sink here?
I mean, the one thing with the Indianapolis Colts is their defense, right? Their defense has been playing amazing all season long. I mean, they're one of the better pass defenses in the league right now, and they do a fairly good job at stopping the run as well. So, with that being said, and with the talent that they have, now listen, they're not even playing on offense. They're not playing with a full staff in terms of receivers. You know, Michael Pittman Jr., the rookie, he left earlier in the season. It looks like he's back since last week. I don't know how much of an impact he's going to make because he's missed an awful lot of time as a rookie. Pretty limited. But Paris Campbell started to come on this year and was taking that next step as a receiver in the NFL, and then he ended up getting injured. He's still out to this day. Over half the season has flown by, and it's like, when is Campbell coming back to pretty much help T.Y. Hilton, who actually got hurt as well, and a guy who's not being very productive? Now, is that because Paris isn't there? Possibly. But, again, this offense as a whole just needs to get healthier. You know, even in the backfield, Jonathan Taylor playing amazing, just like we kind of predicted him coming into the league and taking it over by storm. Mack is not there right now, so it's up to him, and he's doing a phenomenal job. But I'll say the reason why the Colts are still where they are is this defense. And if you have a defense in the NFL, 9 times out of 10, that's going to help you win some games and keep you in the running. So because of that, alone, I'm going to say the Colts are still going to be swimming.
All right.
Nothing is impossible.
There you go. So he said he's swimming here with the Colts. I think I'm going to go with that too as well because, again, the strength of the offensive line that you have, we've seen this defense play well too, on top of it.
Right.
It's just Phillip Rivers limiting the turnovers that he has and
True.
getting the ball out there. And this is what they hired him to do. He has been a playoff quarterback for years with the Chargers when he had LT over there and Vincent Jackson. He's been there. He's known what to do here. They hired him here and brought him in there instead of having Jacoby Brissett there still, running the show. Brought him in to do this. Now he's got to step up and do it. He's got to go through the Titans straight up here, 2 games. But these games that they have here, these teams are beatable. So, they've got the Texans twice, and the Titans twice. Those are 2 divisional rivals right there that are going to play 4 times right here. So, that'll make it happen in its own, especially, again, with the way this playoff format is, too. So,
sure.
I'm going to agree with you here as well with the swim. And finishing up with the AFC, let's take a look at the Patriots now, Joe. The Patriots.
Oh.
We got to look at them now because now somehow.
Yeah, what's happening there in
Yeah,
New
they're
England?
3-5 now, too. So, they're there. They're hanging on, looked really abysmal here. They were failing to the Jets somehow. When I turned that game on, I was checking it out, and the Jets were leading. I was dying. Because anytime the Patriots lose, whether Tom Brady's there or not, I think it's just amazing. It's an amazing.
But we
thing.
saw a reemergence of Joe Flacco back to his old days.
Yeah.
Threw for
throwing
over
the bomb.
300
He passed Joe Montana for
Yeah.
3 touchdowns, I think it was.
He threw for over 300 yards passing. He had 3 touchdown passes and only 1 pick. Like, he looked like the Joe of old. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the Jets, they came to play in that game. They worked their tails off in that game. They really did deserve that win. It's a shame that they let it slip away. Mistakes were made towards the end. And, so the Jets are still winless. Sorry, Jet fans. I really am. It really does suck when your team is playing so hard and they're so determined. Even to this point, after being 0-8, you figure like, oh, we're playing the Patriots. Oh, great. But they came out and they really put it to them. They had them on the ropes. They just had the Patriots on the ropes. And I'll say this. Oh, you Patriots fans, you got nothing to brag about. You just beat a winless team. Okay? Barely. And I mean barely. You deserve to lose. So for this team, this Patriots team that everybody was high on, everybody was puffing the smoke and drinking the Kool-Aid in New England. Oh, we got Cam. We're good. You still have no real receivers. Like, yeah, okay, Jacoby Myers, he played well. Okay. But you really don't have weapons like you used to. There's no dynamic pieces there. And all you're doing is running the ball. It's predictable now. So no one's scared of the New England Patriots going forward. And as great as that defense was last year, the defense, it looks like they're a little susceptible from time to time, and it's really kind of hurting them. Because of that, because you have Cam, you are limited. Yes, he can throw the little checkdowns all day long, no problem, and run the football, but teams aren't scared of it.
Yeah, his accuracy is terrible, too. Watching
We've
some of
seen
those
it.
throws, it was brutal
Yeah.
to watch. And, again, a team where, people still believed him just because the aura, I think, of Belichick being there, too. And a lot of
Right.
people believe, I think, Belichick more than they believe that Tom Brady was a part of the Patriots. And
They needed each other.
Think so. Yeah, I think so. Absolutely.
each other.
But with the guys, look at the starters that sat out for COVID that didn't decide to play for this season. That was big on
Hightower.
defense. Right, and
That was
then
a huge
even
loss.
some of they've had their own plague of injuries too. The last game here, they didn't have Julian Edelman either. They've had some other wide receivers I've never seen before. They're trying to check down to and throw to. And Cam had the COVID stint here and there. So the fact that they were 2-5 or whatever, it was just not. I wasn't really that surprised by it, what they're dealing with. I thought they should have been able to still handle the Jets. And they had issues there, but then you see, again, what you're getting out of Cam Newton and how desperate it is for Belichick that really is still just not coming along that well here, too, and you can't trust Brian Hoyer, I guess, either. You know what I mean? Brian Hoyer, even when he was in there and played, he did okay, but again,
he was pretty bad, though.
But when it came to certain decisions he needed to do, he would force a turnover and things like that. So this team is at where we're at, where we thought they were going to be. You couldn't expect a whole lot out of this team. And moving forward, though, with this division, with the Dolphins only playing a lot better now.
Right.
You know, now they've got the ball rolling.
Yep.
The Jets are still bad. They already got one game now against them, and the Bills now putting the foot, on the gas here and putting the throat on some of these other teams that are
Yeah.
supposed to be playoff teams.
Putting the pressure
That's
on
what
'em.
we've been dying to see. I think even though Seattle, their defense has not been playing very well, I think beating Seattle was a great mark for the Bills.
Oh, 100%.
So right there to show that, listen, we
100%.
can beat these teams that you're saying,
Yeah.
MVP product
That-
here. Russell
beating-
Wilson,
right.
we had him on the ground.
Yep.
We forced turnovers.
beating
and we
teams
beat
like
them.
that, like the Seattle Seahawks, who everybody kind of agrees and all nods and says, yeah, they're one of the better teams in the league. Absolutely. But here's the thing, too. I'll take it a step further.
Sure.
Seattle Seahawks, they had 7 sacks on Josh Allen. 7. That's a lot for a defense. So if you're able to overcome getting sacked 7 times and beating a good defense, they're good. They're not great anymore. They're good. And they had Jamal Adams, so there was no excuses. You can't say, well, we didn't have this guy, we didn't have that guy. They pulled off a trade and got Carlos Dunlap for pass rushing, and he played pretty darn good on the football field. So beating a healthy Seattle defense, that's something to put a stamp on and say, yeah, we did that. So Josh Allen, Buffalo Bills, they definitely circled the wagons against that team, and they triumphed.
Absolutely. Greg Schreiner says, it's the Bills' division to lose. I will be humble no longer. There you go. So, yeah, so it's
what are you waiting for?
yeah, exactly, because now finally they're there. He's a Bills fan, but, I mean, it's true. This is the team that we said is starting to get better. Last couple of years, we said starting to get better. Now it seems like they have arrived. This is their chance. The Patriots are down.
Yeah.
And
this is the crazy thing, and this is why we need all you know-it-alls out there to spread the word, tell your friends to check us out, hop on, become a know-it-all, become a member on Facebook, or become a member on YouTube. Search up Football on the Know, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, become a member on Facebook. We need more of you all. We need more of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And he talks about the Bills being there, and it's their division to win. That's what I mean. They're playing to what they needed to. But what have we said that he just needed? He needed some weapons there.
Yeah.
They went so long with guys that just weren't able to produce, and now they have that guy in Stephon Diggs there.
But look at
along
what
with
they've
Cole
done.
Beasley, the great running backs. I
But
mean,
look
I
at
just
what
love the
they've done over
situation
the
altogether.
past couple of years with this roster. Sean McDermott and the staff there, the GM, they've all done a miraculous job in formulating a pretty darn good offense. They've upgraded their offensive line a little bit. They got their quarterback. They got all these receivers now. John Brown, Cole Beasley, Stephon Diggs in a trade this year. And they've drafted Devin Singletary and Zach Moss, who's starting to emerge as a weapon for them. Not to mention their tight end Dawson Knox, pretty darn good. Not very talked about a lot, but really good athlete, really good player. So you got to tag team that with a good defense that you've helped build, and it's youthful, and they got a lot going for them. So overall, this team, and we called it. I'm sorry, I'm gonna toot our horn. We've kind of called this division. We've said the Bills were our pick.
Correct.
Yeah, and then we had the
And we
Dolphins
also-
next.
Yeah, we had the Dolphins next.
And then the Patriots, and then the Jets.
We
And
had
that's
the
the way it is
Patriots
right
and
now.
the Jets, and that's the way it is right now. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
if the playoffs started today, we win.
Yeah,
That's all
we're
I'm saying.
there. We're right on top with a few others. But I mean, we would love to gloat about the Bills, and we love to talk about them because we are in upstate New York right now too. Bills Mafia in the house.
It's time to move on.
But we are trying to talk about the Patriots and whether they're going to sink or swim.
Sink.
And Joe thinks they're going to sink right
Sink.
here. Yeah, there you go. So
That's right. Bill Belichick's aura is wearing off,
Yeah.
and
so-
they are a smelly pirate hooker.
Yeah,
That's what Cam's probably
I mean,
saying.
because again, look at what they have left in the schedule too. You have the Ravens next, then the Texans, which they're not looking very good now as
yeah,
it is.
Patriots could win that.
Cardinals are up and down; they're 5-3 right now. Chargers, who've been playing harder, and I tell you that next time the Chargers are going to play the Patriots aren't going to be ready for them. And then they got the Rams there, and then they finish off with the Dolphins. So the Dolphins
Good
can
luck.
lay the smack down because they're in Miami. Dude,
it's
in Miami, they play hard in Miami.
do?
I'm already telling you right now, my picks are there. I'm picking Miami in that one.
I'm
That's
already
how
on
they
board
go.
with that.
So there you go. So, yeah, I think we're sinking them. So moving on, we have 2 more teams we're going to go through. Tell us what you guys think about some of those 2, or there's other teams that you're thinking about that are on the fringe there that might make a push here or just sink and just tank, not be bad, NFC, we're going to move the NFC a little bit. Not a whole lot of NFC teams out there that were even near 500.
We tried.
There's a lot, a whole division
really
that
did.
isn't nowhere near it. But we're going to look at the Vikings here now because they are close, and they're right there with the Packers, so they can still make a move here. They're tied with the Lions. But again, if you look at the 2 teams between the Lions and them, I think the Vikings have a real shot because some of these teams, especially a divisional rival, the Packers, they laid the smackdown on them. So they're a team that could make an opportunity to squeak back up here, at the halfway point and make a run into the playoffs, Joe.
Absolutely. And you look at the Minnesota Vikings team right now. They're getting healthy. They still have that offensive line. They're pretty healthy on the offensive line. They just got back 2 weeks ago Dalvin Cook, who's been out with an injury. That I'll tell you right now, that offense without Cook is not very good. It's so one-dimensional. It's not funny. And
he lit it up against the
It's not
the
very
Packers in that game.
impactful. So when Cook gets into the lineup, it's a completely different offense. He's been. I mean, the past couple of weeks, he's been on fire. I mean, absolutely killing it in total yards. Over 200 yards in both weeks, just about. He's been scoring like left and right in terms, pass and receiving, in rushing. He's been absolutely dynamic for the Vikings. And not to mention, the receivers that they have, they're kind of feeling a little lonely out there because they're not getting the football thrown to them. They don't need to. They're just running the football on people. And this defense that we coming into the season, we're like, not really sure about it. They're missing a lot of. They don't really have D tackles. They have young corners. It seems like this defense now at this point in the season, they're starting to play a little bit better with each other. The corners starting to get a bit more adaptable to their positions and playing week in and week out. This Vikings team, I do give them credit for sticking into the fight, for giving it their all, and also with Justin Jefferson, the rookie who kind of emerged now as a starter. I don't know why he didn't start at the beginning of the season, but whatever. But Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, those are the big playmakers for this offense, and defense is playing pretty darn good despite what they have on that side of the ball. I do like the Vikings. I think I'm not going to sink them just yet. I think I'm going to swim. I still think they got potential. They could make a push possibly for the playoffs because of how bad the NFC overall is. Mm-hmm. So I feel like they're going to make a late push possibly and end up in the playoffs possibly as a wild card.
Yeah. I mean, and they are a team to where some of these are going to be like on the
Toss-ups?
borderline again because you've got the Bears twice. And
That
the
could go
Bears
either
are that
way.
next team that's above you. So,
Right.
I mean, you don't know what team you're kind of getting sometimes with those guys. The Panthers, who've been playing teams tough, but again,
Tough.
they're on the losing end of some of these. You got the Cowboys, too. And
That's a win.
There's a win there.
Should be.
Should be, yeah.
But I'll tell you right now that Garrett Gilbert, he is a good quarterback, and we've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
So now, if he can take that, even though they lost, he can take that and keep going with that Cowboys team. The only thing that's going to hold them back is that defense. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
So offensively, if the Cowboys can outscore their opponents, it'd probably be the only way they can win.
All right, and then they have the Jags, too, they play. Then the Buccaneers in Tampa, and then the Bears to finish off the season. So that last game there, like
that's
I
tough.
said, a game to where it means something.
Yeah.
That can mean something right now. And I said if
Absolutely.
they don't have that game when they bump the teams into the playoffs, that could be one of those options right there. Something like that happens. So we'll see what happens moving forward with that. You are not sinking them. You are going to stay with them, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna
All right,
swim with
she's going to stay with him. He's swimming. And I think I'm going to do the same as well.
Of course, it's because Dalvin Cook's there.
Yeah,
You know what I
because, well, yeah.
Because
I mean,
to be honest, if Dalvin Cook isn't there, let's just say he's gone for the year. To me, that team is so different on offense without him that it makes that much of a difference.
Yeah, just because they've got 2 wins, I'd say, right there with the Jags, so that puts them at 6-5. But some of those are toss-ups. You don't know what you're getting in even those. Like even the Buccaneers, how much credit everybody wants to give the Buccaneers credit, and yes, they do play hard at times, but other times they just look like they're not there at all. You know what I mean?
I will say offensively, yes.
Offensively,
but defensively,
yeah.
there are pretty good
they have
defense.
top guys there. Absolutely, I agree. Their defense is getting them out of situations.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, I agree with that. And I felt bad for them in the last game against the Saints because they were just gassed.
Oh,
they were
yeah.
giving them everything they possibly had.
On the
and
field
just
too
to say,
much.
yeah, we're on the field way too much. Absolutely, I agree there too. All right, so next let's go finally now with the other team I thought was on the cusp that's worth talking about, I guess. Here is the Los Angeles Rams. You know, again, in the division to where now the 49ers have had their struggles with injuries. You want to talk about injuries?
Oh, man.
Oh, huge laundry list. So now they're at the bottom of the division. They're out of it.
They're into their practice squad players at this point.
Yeah. So, I mean, now you're left with the Rams, the Cardinals, and then the Seahawks. In a while, you're seeing them getting a couple chinks in their armor to coming down to earth a little bit here for them. So it's still with that division, it's anybody's shot. And the way those teams play, too, just like in the last game, 2 weeks ago, the way the Rams were kind of lethargic in a sense on offense as well, it's like hit and miss. I don't know what team I'm getting. Same thing with the way the Cardinals run. They can beat a great team, but then all of a sudden they lose. And then the Seattle Seahawks are up and down, too. So this division is anybody's right now.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't looked at the schedule moving forward here, but what do you think so far with the Rams and their opportunity to sink or swim?
You know, so the Rams are kind of a difficult team like the Vikings in a sense. Like, they have talent on that team. Absolutely they have talent. But the one thing I'll say is that the Rams, listen, they got weapons. They got Cooper Kupp. They got Bobby Woods, Robert Woods, Bobby Trees, whatever you want to call them. They have a plethora of running backs, which is kind of a mix and mash. Like, there's no organization with that team, I feel like, right now. Sean McVay, he hasn't even really picked a featured back. Like, I understand if you want to run a trio of backs and rotate them in because they all give you something different, I get it. But it seems like a team that does that, it's like none of the running backs can get in rhythm. None of them can really get into the game and start to get a feel for it and perform better. So that's a little bit concerning to me. Also, their defense, it seems like their defense is good. Don't get me wrong. When you have Aaron Donald up front, that definitely plays a part. But overall, it seems like this team, as talented as they are, sometimes they underperform. Mm-hmm. And that worries me a little bit. They underperform against teams that they probably should blow out or beat straight up. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, what's the schedule look like for the Rams going forward?
I think it's very pleasing for them. I think it's doable here. They have the Seahawks coming up next.
That'll be tough.
This week. Then the Bucks. But then they've got the 49ers, the Cardinals, the Patriots, and then the Jets. So the tail end seems forgiving for them. You know, especially if they're in the running. If they could sneak out a couple wins here against any of those three teams, the 49ers, the Rams, or the Seahawks, I'd say they could beat the Patriots and the Jets, at the end here.
So what are you figuring, like, projected record with the remaining schedule?
They're 5-3. I'd say 8-8 again, 9-7.
And that could be good enough in the NFC to be a playoff contender.
Because they are playing divisional rival, and divisional rival, 3 of them. So those are main factors here within that division. So they don't even need to exactly have, like an 11 and whatever record or 12. The thing is with this year, you're not going to see a whole lot of that. You're going to see a couple teams like we've seen so far with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are undefeated right now. They're 8-0. They're eventually going to lose probably, here and there. And you've got the Chiefs who are on a good winning streak here. And I think the Baltimore Ravens have been played very well too. You're going to get your elite teams. They've been together for a while. They're staying healthy. They're going to be those teams. But the rest, there's going to be a big murky pool of mess here. And it's going to be an interesting playoffs, I think, moving forward this year.
Well, the NFC is the one conference that I could see losing teams getting in.
To
this playoff race, which they shouldn't be there. But I guess,
that's what would be hilarious.
You're dealt with the cards you're given, and you just kind of make it work. So I think it'll make it interesting. Like this
Well,
playoff
that's why I
bracket.
think they're an they're an NFC conference team. So I think they have an all around opportunity because
Oh, for sure.
so many losing
Yeah.
records amongst the other teams, and you're gonna have one team out of the East. So you're not gonna have any other than that. So
yeah, no, right.
you know what I mean? So I mean they've got a great shot. I'm gonna do
Yes, you
can.
I'm going yes
Swim.
you can. They're swimming. We're swimming all
Swimming.
day long on that. So
We're swimming.
all right, definitely. So all right, there you go. There's
All right, good
there's-
job,
It's been a long
everybody.
time with that one, but that was fun. We did a little sink or swim. All right, we'll get back to that some other time this year, probably moving into playoff time.
Yeah, as we get closer to the
Ah,
end of
yes.
the season.
All right, man. It's been crazy getting back here. We appreciate you guys checking us out tonight. It's
Thank
been
you.
a few
Thank you.
weeks.
Thank you.
Suffered with COVID, so we're coming back now. You know, and we're gonna be better than ever here moving forward. So that brings it up to our picks segment, Joe.
Yeah, let's do it.
The picks since we've been off those, it's been tight, and here we go. After it all, we're still neck and neck
Look at that.
tied, just
that.
like that, Joe. Is nuts. We were like boxers, just throwing blows back and forth. The first week you had me by 1. Next week I hit you by that. And then this week we were absolutely the same. Went 12-2. We had different picks too. I picked the Saints. You picked the Bucs. You had I think it was the Bills. I had the Seahawks. I mean it was nuts. But here we are. Same schedule. The same standings again. This one's going down to the end. But again, I think the loser. We don't have the drink here, but the loser's going to drink a big football-sized drink here. You know, full of whatever alcohol we have available or whatever we choose.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fun show. So whenever
will
we
be.
do that one for the loser, whether it's the Super Bowl week, it's always a good time. So you guys check us out definitely for that.
Great,
Also,
I just gotta say, great minds think alike.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. Like, this is the most hilarious part of this contest that we've done for what, 3 years now?
yeah. This will
Almost
be our
4
third.
years?
This will be our third year doing the contest.
Yeah,
Before
yeah.
we used to pick together.
Yeah. So now this is the third year doing the head-to-head. It's so funny. Like, if we should go back one of these, maybe next year at the end of the year, we'll look back the last 3 years and see our final record of each one,
Oh yeah.
just to see like
Good
how
idea,
close
where we
we were
were.
always.
Yeah.
It's just crazy to me.
Yeah, definitely it is. And it goes down to the wire. It's going to be fun. So whether I end up drinking or not, I don't care. It's going to be hilarious.
I think
All
I'm
right.
gonna have to take one for the team because you need to run the show. So I don't want you over there like messing stuff
You can
up.
do it. Maybe we'll trade spots sometime.
You
Who
don't want
knows?
me running the
I
show.
know. Yeah, we'll put
I'll
on
run it right off
autopilot.
the track.
We'll get Cody in here that time. All right, so here we go. We're going down to our weekly picks here. So
All right, we got week 10, everybody.
week 10. Here we go.
already. It's week 10 already.
I know, just like that. That's what I mean. Where were we the last couple of weeks here? It
Man.
just seemed like it just
The heck happened?
went all over the place. Yeah. So all right, here we go. Thursday night. Tomorrow night we have the Colts and the Tennessee Titans. And we were just talking about this game a little bit. We were talking sink or swim.
Yeah.
This is a pivotal game here
It is.
for either team.
For both,
Again,
yeah.
both teams. You still have to play each other 2 weeks from now.
Yep.
So they'll play again. This one's in Tennessee. The Colts, I think, are going to play them tough, but I think Tennessee needs to bounce back here, and I think they're going to take the victory here at home. The next time they play, maybe not so much. Maybe I'll go with the Colts next.
Maybe you will.
Maybe
But the
I
Tennessee Titans,
know.
they are a little bit angry right now. They're a little hungry. They want to win, and what better way to do it is against one of your division rivals. So I believe Tennessee's going to come hungry in this game. They're going to really want this. Not to say the Colts don't. Of course they do. It's in the divisions, but I think the Tennessee Titans are going to have a good game plan going in. I don't know what kind of Phillip Rivers we're going to see, so that's kind of a little iffy for me. But it will be a tough game because both teams have good defenses, fairly healthy defenses, and it's going to be a boxing match. So in the end, I think the Titans are going to come out with the W.
All right, here we go. Now moving on, Tampa Bay Buccaneers going into Carolina. Again, this I think is going to be a tough matchup. Carolina has been playing everybody tough, but there isn't going to be any Christian McCaffrey here, so that is a bit of a factor. They have played hard without him, though, so they still will be competitive. But I think Tampa Bay and Tom Brady totally upset about getting.
Oh,
they
got
pretty
embarrassed.
much should have got shut out.
They got
last game.
embarrassed.
They had to kick that extra
They did.
point, that field goal, just to make sure they put some points on the board. And Tom Brady throwing like 4 interceptions, even though the crew kept trying to say he only threw 2. I was hearing that. I'm like, that's his second. I'm like, second? I've counted 3 already. This is his 4th.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you guys talking about? So I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers bounce back here against the Carolina Panthers. and give this division a run again.
I think this is a game the Panthers could win. Like, I feel like this is one of those games where it really could go either way.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people when they see the Panthers like, it's the Panthers. I don't know.
Yeah,
but they're playing pretty darn good. And despite McCaffrey not being there this week, the production doesn't go down.
Right.
Actually, Mike Davis, the running back that's been their backup, he's been excelling just as much as Christian McCaffrey. I know it sounds crazy, but take a look at the stats, if you will. Pretty amazing. So I don't think they really lose anything. I know it's Christian, but Mike Davis can handle his own. So I believe the Panthers will have a shot to win this game. But again, I have to agree with Jim on this. Is Tampa Bay, they got to be pissed off after being flat out embarrassed in primetime football against a division rival. That's got to fire them up enough. Going into this week, they're going to have a chip on their shoulder. Brady's going to want to make a point to rack up points. The defense is going to want to make a point to shut down Carolina. So I, too, am going to go with Tampa.
All right, here we go. All right, now we have the Houston Texans. Since firing Bill O'Brien, has maybe mustered up one more win, I think.
Yeah.
It's not still playing very well, but we kind of saw this, foreseen this before the season started. We knew it was going to be the beginning of the end of Bill O'Brien. At least we were hoping. But we saw that they didn't have what they needed here still. They're struggling on defense, can't stay healthy, and they let their star wide receiver go. You know what I mean? And this is
Bill O'Brien
makes a difference. Yeah, and then, the running back situation. So, I mean, just poor decisions were made altogether. Houston playing Cleveland, it's going to be a tough matchup.
It is.
What kind of Cleveland Browns are we going to get?
Right.
Not so sure. They are playing at home.
Yeah.
But, oh, man, this
It's
is
tough, right?
Yeah.
Well, let me jump in here real quick.
jump in here on this one, then.
The Houston Texans, so one thing that they don't have going for them is David Johnson. It looks like because of last week's concussion, he will be out most likely this week, which means Duke Johnson will get his first start of the season. More of a receiving back, but I'm really intrigued to see how they utilize him. Are they going to utilize him just in receiving, or are they going to try to utilize him between the tackles, outside, and receiving?
I'm happy when I'm playing.
Excellent soundbite. But also Deshaun Watson, he's the catalyst of this offense. The only problem is like, where's his weapons at? They're just not there. Brandon Cooks, he's actually excelled as they play every week. He's been doing better in this offense. But Will Fuller as well. But again, he's kind of a guy that's been banged up as we go, and we expect that to happen. But Houston, their defense, nothing scares me on their defense. Their corners are not that good. They're below average. The Browns could exploit that in the passing game, and not to mention the run game. There's no D tackles in this Houston defense. They don't have DJ Reader anymore. They just got pretty much J.J. Watt, and that's pretty much their only big-name D lineman. Not to say they don't have any good talent, but Watt's really their best player on the D-line, and he's getting up there in age. So, by the way, shout out to J.J. for getting his 100th career sack last week.
Oh, there you go.
But nonetheless, I don't know. This is a really tough game to pick because this literally could go either way, by a field goal. That could be the end result in this game to determine the winner. Cleveland Browns, exactly what Jim was saying. What Baker are we getting? What offense are we getting? The one thing I really do like about Cleveland, though, is that they're getting Nick Chubb back. And it's going to be kind of like a morale boost for this offense. They're finally getting another weapon back instead of losing one. And yes, it's running back, but utilizing Kareem Hunt in the slot as a receiver and having Nick Chubb in the backfield and being able to maybe get a little bit more creative in the backfield, I think Cleveland, that's going to help them. We already know Cleveland Browns I believe they have a better defense than what Houston has to offer, but I'm going to go with Cleveland on this one.
All right, here. I think I'm going to agree with you as well because, like you said, the addition of Nick Chubb on there, and you already do have Kareem Hunt there. I mean, overall, their personnel is just better than what the Texans have.
And the
right
Browns,
now
you better
forward.
win this one. Do not dog me on
this.
this.
I know, right? That always happens. They just play us like that. Certain teams are like that with us. All right, the Washington football team. I'm getting it right now, Joe. See, I need a couple of weeks off here to
and
get it
then
right.
next year, you're going to have to get used to the different name.
The different name, yeah. They go in, and now they're facing the Detroit Lions here. So what do you have in this one here? with the Detroit Lions and the football team.
I mean, here's the thing that's crazy is like Kyle Allen gets hurt last week. He's most likely, it sounds like he's going to be done for the year. Major injury. So, and Alex Smith came on. He comes in that game against the Giants and holy crap, looked like the Alex Smith of old. Like, I'm talking Kansas City Chief Alex Smith. Like, he was lighting it up and actually brought Washington all the way back within a field goal, I believe, right?
Yeah.
It was pretty close. So
They tied it up.
and what was a stagnant offense before and not really doing nothing, Alex Smith comes in and almost saved the day against a good Giants defense. So I think going into this matchup, it's going to be a dueling of the quarterbacks. It's going to be Matt Stafford versus Alex Smith. May the best man win. I do like Washington's defense better than Detroit's. So in that terms, with Alex Smith being in there, I feel like he's going to perform really well again now that he's going to have all the reps as the starter this week leading up to the game. He's already established chemistry with Terry McLaurin, and what else do you need other than Scary Terry? But with that defense going into Detroit against a weaker Detroit defense, I feel like Washington's going to pull out a win here.
Wow, there you go, Washington going with the Washington football team. I think it is going to be a tough game. I'm not sure what we're going to get out of this. I'm going to just go against you here. I'm going to ride with Detroit just because I believe in Matthew Stafford more than I believe in just Alex Smith at this point. Alex Smith, I think, is a good quarterback. He's definitely a better quarterback than Kyle Allen and what they had there. And what the Giants really had last week. If you put Alex Smith versus Daniel Jones, Alex Smith is so much better.
I'll tell you right
And
now,
that's why they were able to put
the Giants had Alex Smith right now.
Right. Maybe that's a play they make. Who knows in the offseason. I don't know. But you know what? I like the excitement here.
Yeah.
I'm going to go against you here. I know Washington's defense is going to play hard. I want to
good.
see if Matthew Stafford can battle through it. I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions
All right,
here.
sounds good.
All right. Now the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are 1-7, going into Green Bay, does not look good for them. We've seen Minshew play though hard and beat teams
Jake
like this that have
Luton.
been play well. So
Jake Luton
that's right.
played last
Yeah,
week.
that's right. Yeah, that's
the
right.
rookie, get this, the rookie quarterback comes in his first
Yeah.
career start and absolutely not only lights it up, but I don't know if you caught the highlight of him rushing in for the end zone. He made two guys
Yeah.
miss
Yeah.
and went in. I was like, who's this guy? Where
Yeah.
did he come from? I mean, kudos to the Jacksonville scouting department because I'll tell you right now, they might have found themselves a really good backup QB or potential future guy for the Jaguars. So my question is this week, is Minshew coming back or are they going to ride with the rookie right now? That we really don't know. So because of a little bit of uncertainty on that, and Green Bay, they're a team that they got to keep stacking these wins in that division, because otherwise these teams are going to creep up on them pretty quickly. So I feel like it's still a game that they need to win. Aaron Rodgers and company, I mean Aaron Jones for this offense. I mean, oh my God, the guy is absolutely killing it on the football field. Yeah, and I'm sorry, Devontae Adams killing it. Like, this team, there's no reason to lose this game. Yes,
And we're seeing some of these guys step up though too. Valdez-Scantling has actually stopped dropping the ball as much here on times, and just played a little better.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the other thing too, a little nugget that maybe some people forgot about is Alan Lazard is due to come back. I don't know if it's going to be this week, but most likely it'll be the following week if it's not this one. They get that weapon back, and this offense could take another huge step in the right direction. So I like Green Bay against Jacksonville. They are home. I don't know how cold it's going to be or warm. I can't make out this weather anymore. But I'm going to go with the Packers.
Yeah, it's going to be the coolest thing you've ever seen because I think the Green Bay Packers, again, are going to take care of Jacksonville pretty easily, I think, as long as they don't let their guard down and kind of underplay to these guys. Next, we have the Eagles and the Giants. This is going to be
Once
a barn
again.
burner. This is going to be exciting, I think, for me as a Giants fan to watch this. Might
Oh,
be
yeah.
frustrating, though, as well. Again, because what am I going to get?
gonna
It's
be a
the
little
battle
both.
of the two turnover guys here. 'Cause
Knuckleheads.
That's the thing, because that Daniel Jones has put himself right up with Carson Wentz for
Yes.
most turnovers
Oh.
around here and there, and then they do the same exact bonehead things, trying
Yeah.
to make moves and then let the ball out there for some reason. Like they're gonna be able to make a big play or a reception while you're halfway to the ground. just go down, live to fight another day, and it's what you're preached every day in the meetings and things like that.
Yeah, or
the
throw it
videos.
away.
Or throw it away completely. They got the Philadelphia Eagles got the best of them last time.
Right.
They probably shouldn't have.
It was close. Yeah.
They probably shouldn't have.
Giants
I think
should
the
have won
Giants
that.
are keying up and playing well too. I think I'm going to go with the Giants this week on this one again, and at home be able to take a victory.
I mean, here's the craziest thing is every time that I've either watched an Eagle game or a Giants game, there's only one thing I take away from each game that I've seen so far every week. Their quarterbacks are holding them back. Just that quite
Basically,
simple.
yeah.
I mean, they both have made way too many bonehead mistakes, and they keep doing it. They keep thinking like they got to make the big play every single play. It's not how you win football games. So to me, it's going to be the quarterback that makes the fewest mistakes in this game. Hopefully, that's going to be Daniel Jones. I like Giants' defense, how well they're playing, and this offense, as long as if he can not make those mistakes and create those turnovers for the Giants, I feel like the Giants are going to be in the driver's seat in this one. I, too, am going with the G-Men.
All right, here the Chargers has been that team that has played hard with everybody. You know, I mean, just could not muster up that win here and there. I mean, the rookie looks really good playing together here. Really Joe and I had talked about this before I think the show started. I mean, what kind of team are we going to get here? Is Joey Bosa going to be able to come back with this team? That makes a difference here
I
for
feel
them
like
on
he
defense.
was close last week, and I feel like he'll definitely be back this week.
And Miami's been playing better. I mean, they've been playing up there and getting showing that maybe they had made the right moves by getting rid of some of the players that they had, getting those draft picks, accumulating, and then rebuild,
utilizing
them,
and
get to moving forward. So going into Miami, what do you see here with the Chargers here in Miami, Joe? You see the Chargers coming out here with a win?
Here's the thing: this is an interesting game. I mean, we're looking at this ahead of it.
Now that Miami is playing what they're playing, I think it makes it really interesting.
To me, this game is the game of the week. I'll say that right now. I think this is the most intriguing game right now. I think you got both rookie quarterbacks from this past draft going after each other in this one. Both are so far, like, I know we've seen more from Herbert than we have from Tua, but there's a lot to like on both ends. So this is going to be determined, I feel like, by the defenses, not so much the offenses. So I really like if Joey Bosa's back, I mean, that just gives them a whole other level of defensive line to go after the Miami Dolphins. Not to mention, Preston Williams is not going to be in this game. He got injured last week, so it feels like everything's going to be falling on the shoulders of Devontae Parker and the likes of Jakeem Grant. Looks like he's going to get thrusted into that receiving role. And they don't have Myles Gaskin, their true starting running back. So that's a little bit of a loss there. So because of those losses on offense, and the Chargers seem to be, despite their record, they're playing way better than what their record is showing. They have Keenan Allen. Mike Williams is playing even better this year now that Herbert's at the helm. Their offensive line isn't that great, but their defense is that much greater. I really like the Chargers in this matchup. I love the story of the Dolphins winning this one, but I'm not really sure if they have all their ducks in the row for this game.
Right, and I agree with you here too as well. I mean, I think Tua, this is going to be another team to where it's going to be a tougher challenge to where he has to try and outscore these guys. Not so much, I think, what he had to try and do it with the Cardinals.
But I will say this too: the Dolphins are no shabby defense either. It's just their secondary kind of scares me a little bit, But other than that, like their pass rush, like I do really like their D tackle, and I believe his last name's Godcho, if I'm pronouncing that right. He's a dynamite player. They got Carlos Watkins, who's also playing really well. But I don't know. It's just something about, I just don't think they're ready yet.
Right.
I really kind of want the Dolphins to win this game just to be like, well, we just see that. They're playing pretty darn good.
Yeah, they're playing well, and then they just beat your rival. So,
I think the Chargers are going to be a little bit too much for them.
All right, here next up, we've got the Buffalo Bills at the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals suffering from a loss, too. Here, they played a lot of teams tough. But the Buffalo Bills, again, showed one of these teams from the NFC West. There's the Seahawks here. Russell Wilson, MVP candidate. that they aren't messing around. They've got an offense just as balanced as their defense is. And when even the Seahawks tried to bounce back and come back on this game, they forced it back to them and were able to shut the door. So I think I like the Buffalo Bills in this one against the Cardinals again, and the Cardinals are going to go back-to-back with losses.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The only thing that for me that's holding the Arizona Cardinals back right now is their lack of health on their defensive side of the ball.
Absolutely.
If they had a healthy defense right now, and let's just say Chandler Jones was still there, and all these pieces that they had from the start, this is a different team altogether. But because of these injuries that have mounted up on that defensive side of the football, it's too much for them to overcome. So they have to rely on Arizona's offense to take over and outscore other teams. And I just don't think that's going to be a recipe for this week against Buffalo Bills. The Bills have a really good, stout defense. They can stuff your run and defend the pass. I mean, they're just good overall all around. And I think offensively, they're just going to have too many weapons, not to mention Josh Allen. We're going to have two mobile quarterbacks going after each other in this one. But Josh Allen is going to be a little bit too much with his weapons. And that defense for the Bills, I just think I'm going with the Bills on this one.
And they just got done taking care of Russell Wilson, a very mobile quarterback too as well. And
that's the other thing too, is Russell Wilson to me is not – I don't really consider him a traditional mobile quarterback like that just runs all the time.
He doesn't do these guys seem more like college offense kind of running more than Russell Wilson is.
Yeah,
Russell Wilson is
patient.
elusive, I'd say, even to me. He can make things happen with his legs to get things available. He's always looking to pass.
Yeah, he's just a patient quarterback. He's always looking to pass. He never wants to run. He wants to give his guys the ball and go. Unlike Kyler Murray and Josh Allen, I feel like are a little bit more loose to take off and run. So this will be a fun game to watch. But, yeah, I'm going to go with the Bills.
All right, here you go. And now the Denver Broncos go into Vegas, and the Raiders. Again, this is a tough divisional game. It's going to be close, but I'm going to side with your Raiders on this one again because the injuries that the Denver Broncos did have on defense, and I just think Vegas is an overall better team. I think they're playing well. I thought they are where I thought they would be. I mean, again, when we picked the divisions before the season started, that division right now is aligned where I thought it would be, minus the Broncos and the Chargers flip-flop. If that can change the next couple of weeks, which it can, Chargers bounce back ahead of the Broncos. Broncos are in last, and then I picked the division exactly correct again.
I think we did the same thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, Denver Broncos against the Raiders. I think the Raiders are, they're playing at the Death Star. I love that name for the stadium. Raiders against Broncos. It will be a close matchup. It always is. But in the end, I have to go with my Raiders again. I don't like to pick my Raiders, just so everybody knows. I really don't like to. But it's hard not to. I believe that the roster overall, offense and defensively, is just better than the Broncos and more complete. I just think that the Denver Broncos, I feel like Drew Lock is going to make a couple of mistakes in this game. Not to say that the Raiders defense is going to be impactful in this game because I think they're absolutely atrocious, but I do believe that with the Raiders offense, I think that it's going to be hard for the Broncos to keep up with the offense for the Raiders. So I too am going with the Raiders.
All right, here we go. And now we've got
this
the
one
Bengals.
shouldn't be hard.
Yeah.
I cannot see any other way this going. It's the Bengals at the Steelers. Steelers are they're undefeated right now. We're still waiting to see if Big Ben plays or not. If Big Ben doesn't play, that gives the Bengals an opportunity to maybe pull off an upset here. But I just
can't. Be hard times for
I mean, Joe Burrow going up against this really, really good defense. They are going to put a ton of pressure on Joe Burrow and Joe Mixon and trying to stuff Mixon, make him one-dimensional. And then regardless, I think, of the quarterback, they're just going to try to run the football and do more clock management stuff if Big Ben isn't there. Just enough to pull out a win. I'm going with the Steelers.
I'm going to do the same thing here as well. And now the 49ers, they're banged up going into New Orleans, and the Saints. I mean, that's a recipe for disaster there, too, already. So I'm just going to go with the Saints automatically on that one, too.
Unfortunately, 49ers, we say banged up, but I think they're banged up like no other team.
Yeah.
I want to say like a couple weeks ago they showed like the injury list for the Niners,
Dude,
and it was like
it's longer
7
than the roster, I think.
Yeah, it was like 7 offensive starters were out. And defensively, we all know, Nick Bosa, he's out for the year. He's not there. Solomon Thomas isn't there for the year. They're just missing secondary help. And Jaquiski Tart, I believe, he's also going to be out for this week. He got injured. So, I mean, there's a lot. They're just limping into this game, and the Saints coming off a huge win now. Saints, don't let me down here. Don't have a letdown game against the 49ers. I am going to pick the Saints. I believe that they are going to yet make another statement.
Yep.
Another statement game here. Beat the 49 a weak 49er team.
Yeah.
Go ahead and take advantage.
Yeah, a team where they're trying to decide whether they're going to march Nick Mullins out there again or if it's going to be C.J. Beathard. So, I mean that's your decisions. That
you have to start Nick Mullins. So, I mean, for me, Nick Mullins is way more efficient than C.J. Beathard because we've seen C.J. I believe the last time Jimmy G went out,
make some plays, but
Nick Mullins got hurt after Joey G left the game. They brought in CJ. He was absolutely atrocious. He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. So I hope for the Niners' sake to give them a chance. Nick Mullins is your starting quarterback.
This is, I mean, not to get off topic real too quick, but I mean, this is how crazy some of the media and some of the people are, though, too, because they're calling for Colin Kaepernick to get signed by the 49ers.
Come on.
For what? What is he
on.
going to do to help that team? They
Here's
are
the
so injury-riddled and everything, and this, like
Right.
you said, so many people gone out of this roster. That's not going to make a difference.
But here's the thing, too. It's just let's just say they do. Let's sign Colin Kaepernick for the 49ers, right? He needs to learn the offense. Do you know how much time that's going to take up? Probably about as much time as for Jimmy G to return. Like, I don't understand that logic. Like, everyone's hitting the panic button. Listen, you can hit the panic button and smash it to pieces all you want. That's not going to make your team healthier. Like, you bring Colin Kaepernick into this equation, he's not going to turn your team around by himself. It's just not going to happen. A guy that's been out of the league for several years right now would have to come in, learn the offense before he even takes foot on the field, and by that time, Jimmy G will probably be back. Doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely. But something to talk about, I guess. Throw it out there.
We
It's
did.
a headline.
We did.
In the Seattle
What we got
Seahawks
next?
now going against the Rams is a tough divisional game.
Oh, yeah.
Rams at home. Seattle, again, getting beat by the Dolphins here. Or was I can't remember. What was it?
Bills.
They played the
Bills
Bills.
beat
Bills.
the Seattle
Bills.
Seahawks.
So, I mean, this is going to be a tough game. But, again, for me, it's like I said with some of these other teams, what Rams team am I getting on offense here?
Right.
What are they going to do? Are they just crawl into a ball and not show up?
I don't know.
I know the Rams defense has been playing fairly well, despite everything, because that's one of the things I kind of looked at with this team. They went all in, last couple of years.
Yeah.
Now some of those contracts that they did in the trading of the picks have kind of come back to haunt them a little bit. But despite that, they're in the running still here.
Right.
So, I mean, it's going to be a tough game there against the Seattle Seahawks. They could definitely put points on the Seattle Seahawks defense. Man, I think I'm going to go with the Rams. Why not? Let's go.
Yeah, and this is
For the hell of it.
this is one of those teams that we what did we say? Did we say swim or sink?
That they can swim because easily.
we did.
I mean, there's some of the teams that they had to
'Cause of
play.
the
They had to
schedule
play
and
the
everything.
Jets and the
Yeah,
Patriots
yeah.
later on. I mean, teams that they can win.
Right. So before we said swim, I'm going to say sink in this game. I am not feeling 100% confident with this team. Like Jim just mentioned, they are kind of like an up and down team. Just when you expect them to play well, they play really poorly. So I think that they're going to play tough in this game. I think defensively they'll do just fine. I think offensively they may struggle from time to time. I kind of worried about Jared Goff in his play. It's pretty inconsistent, and if that's coming out of your quarterback, that doesn't make me feel too easy. Seattle Seahawks, listen, they had 7 sacks last week against the Bills. They had a pretty good outing as a defense. Offensively, they just couldn't score enough points to stay in the running there in that game. But they got beat, and they know it, and they're not happy right now. So they're going to take it on their division rival. They're going to play really tough, and they're going to try to make a statement against the Rams. I love Russell Wilson. I think he's just an amazing quarterback. He's definitely in the MVP running right now. But for me, I'm going to go with Seattle Seahawks against the Rams, and they get a win.
All right, and Moving forward to the
Sunday
Baltimore.
night
Yeah,
football.
Sunday night football. Here we go. We've got the Baltimore Ravens and the New England Patriots. A year ago, this would have been a highlight game here. You know, they should have flexed
Would've been
this
amazing,
game out
right?
here. You know what I mean? You know,
Yeah.
Tom Brady and any of this. You're not getting that anymore. Now you've got Cam Newton against the Baltimore Ravens here.
This is kind of funny because you got
gonna be
two
tough.
running quarterbacks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, who can outrun who?
Yeah.
Who will have more yards?
It's kind
Rushing.
of funny, too, with, again, when you want to talk about headlines and everything, and they're talking about Dez Bryant coming off of the practice squad and joining the team.
I know.
I'm like, so what? You've got Hollywood Brown complaining that he doesn't get the ball enough
He
as it
should.
is.
He should complain because
And you've got Dez Bryant like, whoa, that's going to make a difference?
Wait.
He doesn't even get the ball to Hollywood Brown. What the frick is he going to do with Dez Bryant?
Here's the craziest thing is before the season even started, John Harbaugh came out and said, we're going to throw the ball more often this year. Well, I don't see it, John. Where is it, John?
Big smoke
Hollywood Brown is clamoring for the footballs to be thrown. Throw it to this man. Get him the football. Not to mention, they got a rookie in Devin Duvernay. He needs to start. He's another speed guy. He's another guy who can really open up this offense. I understand you got Willie Snead in the slot, and it's all well and good. He can move the sticks, all that jazz. Put Devin Duvernay out there. Make this offense more prolific than really what it could be. Is
Really
pretty,
have it
pretty
so that
darn
people are watching both sides of the ball.
right. Exactly. Don't be so one-dimensional. And then Lamar this past week said, "Well, defenses are calling out our plays at the line of scrimmage." Really? They got game tape on you guys.
Yeah.
When they see a certain formation, it tells them something. Like, come on, guys. Start throwing the football more. Stop being so damn predictable going forward. Lamar not having the best year like everybody thought he would, still having a decent year. Let's see if they can kind of make a statement against the Patriots this week. Baltimore defense, pretty darn good, pretty stout. Will they be enough against Cam Newton and the Patriots? And will Baltimore find their way in the passing game? That remains to be seen Sunday night.
It could be the Madden curse.
That was a
You
good.
never know.
That was a good lead up.
Yeah, you would. You.
I'm
I
taking
had my
Baltimore
finger on the
Ravens.
button, and you had me there,
I am
buddy.
taking Baltimore Ravens on this one. I do not have a whole lot of confidence in New England going forward.
Me too. Again, I've seen the gameplay of Cam Newton, stuff like that. Not really satisfied with all that. They're just not the same team. They're not. Half their guys are gone, and that's what you're dealt with. And Baltimore Ravens just an overall better team. All right, Minnesota Vikings now against Chicago. This is that divisional team we were talking about, or game we were talking about. Could be a decider. Again, Chicago is one game up on them. Nick Foles has been a good key for that team to play well. But again, Chicago for me is kind of unpredictable. What am I getting
Right.
out of this team? Again,
Right.
at times, the defense will play well, and then I don't know what the offensive plays sometimes. Matt Nagy, he can't get out of his own way sometimes in what he's doing. and some of the guys I think he should be focusing and utilizing more. He doesn't. He puts them away and you don't see him for the rest of the game. One thing I have liked is, Allen Robinson getting involved this year, which is nice. But Minnesota, have they turned the corner now? Like we talked about, things that they're playing better. They're playing better than they were earlier in the season. They're connecting. Jefferson now part of the offense. Again, Dalvin Cook, run. Maybe you got to focus on being the run, and then get your opportunities in the passing
More
game.
balanced.
And balance yourself out for a guy like Kirk Cousins back there. It is in Chicago, so they're going to play tougher. So I think I'm going to go with Chicago just because they're at home.
Yeah, and this game I'm kind of like seesawing on. Like, this is a game that if they're going to swim, they got to make a statement.
Yeah,
They got to
they
win
have
this
to win
division
this.
game.
Yeah.
It's like a must-win game for the Vikings. That is going to, listen, it was all well and good that, they won the last couple of weeks, right? Am I right about that? I think so. But going up to this game, this is the catalyst for the rest of the season. If they could pull off a win in Chicago, and I talk like that like they have fans there or something, like it makes a difference. But nonetheless, if they can pull off a win in Chicago and beat the Bears, a division rival, this is going to set themselves up for the rest of the regular season, and I feel like it's going to be not only a morale booster, but it's going to get them on track to be like, hey, you know what? Let's do this thing. Let's run the table. You know what I mean? Let's try to run the table the rest of the regular season. This is a big game. I, too, am not so sure. I don't know what kind of Chicago defense I'm going to get because we've seen them play amazing at times, and then we've seen them play like they weren't even there. offensively, I do like Foles at quarterback. I do like the weapons. He loves Allen Robinson, and why wouldn't you? But man,
It is.
it's
It's a tough
hard.
game.
It's hard not to go against Dalvin Cook in this offense. It really is. You know
Go
what?
for it. Jazz
what
it
the
up,
hell?
baby. Let's do
I'm
this.
going Vikings.
Yes, there we
I'm,
go.
I'm,
Here
I'm
we go.
going to say Minnesota is going to go in there. It's going to be real close. Don't get me wrong. It's not going to be a blowout.
Yeah.
This is going to be a really close game. I'm going to hope the Vikings win, even though something telling me that they're going to probably end up losing.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna lock it in. I'm going to go with the Vikings with Dalvin Cook. Listen, dynamite player. And let's see if they can mix it up like Jim was just mentioning. If they can become a little bit more balanced and not so run heavy against Chicago, I feel like that's going to put the Bears defense on their heels, and maybe they get the best of them.
All right, there we go, and that's it. That's it for us tonight.
That's
we
it all.
appreciate it. You guys joining us, and there's our picks. I mean,
Hey,
let's see how it goes. We got to tighten.
Just want to say
here.
thank you, Know-It-Alls, for the support. Thank you guys, whoever showed up for the show. We know we've been away for a little while. How long has it been, really? 3 weeks?
3 weeks. This I think.
Man,
so. It's like 2 weeks.
Almost
3
a
weeks,
month.
something like
It's
that.
crazy, guys. But really, thank you guys for showing up, for all the questions, for all the comments. Really appreciate you. If you're new to the show, that's right. You can head over to YouTube, head over to Facebook, search us up Football on the No Show, subscribe on YouTube, become a member on Facebook. And oh yeah, we're on Twitter as well, at FB_no. Make sure you hit us up there. Thank you guys all, and salute to service. Thank you, veterans out there. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
Veterans Day.
Without you guys like us couldn't do football talk shows like this.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate you guys. All the branches of the military, male, female, active, non-active. Really love you guys. Thank you guys so much.
Absolutely. There you go. And that was a small tribute to Alex Trebek out there, too, who just passed away. I was a big Jeopardy fan. Stuff like
that's
that, too.
crazy,
So a
man.
lot of stuff has happened since we haven't been
That's
on.
crazy.
We appreciate you guys joining us again, and we are excited to see you guys next week then. We'll see you later.